In the silent depths of the uncharted Arcturan sector, an enormous shadow floated across the stars. It was a warship unlike any other, older than most civilizations, scarred by time and battle, yet still imposing. Legends whispered about its existence. The Titanus, the galaxy's strongest warship, built by the Zythurians, a civilization long gone. They were said to have mastered technology far beyond anything alive today. Ships smaller than cities had been destroyed by it, armies had fallen without firing a single shot, and yet, for centuries, it drifted alone, abandoned and forgotten. No one dared to board it, not because they lacked courage, but because it was feared. Alien species who had once served the Zythurians claimed the ship was cursed. Its systems were incomprehensible. Its weapons, still active in some areas, could wipe out fleets with a thought. And now, after hundreds of years, it floated silently in a deserted auction field at the edge of known space. Captain Mara Keen, a human engineer, stared at it from her small shuttle. Unlike most humans, Mara was not impressed by stories of fear or power. She was curious. She had always been fascinated by ancient machines, puzzles, and impossible challenges. While others saw danger, she saw opportunity. Humans had always been underestimated in the galaxy. Too small, too fragile, too simple, the aliens often said. Mara had spent her life proving them wrong. And now, standing before the legendary Titanus, she knew this would be the greatest test yet. The auction was empty. That surprised no one more than Mara herself. Hundreds of ships, treasures, and weapons were listed, yet no bidders had arrived. The Titan lay untouched, silent, waiting. The aliens' fear was so deep that they had left it to drift until someone brave or foolish claimed it. Mara didn't hesitate. She maneuvered her shuttle closer, docking her craft with the main airlock. Her pulse quickened, not from fear, but from anticipation. Stepping onto the ship, Mara felt dwarfed by its sheer size. Ceilings soared higher than her eyes could track, corridors twisted like a labyrinth, and massive doors loomed with inscriptions she could barely decipher. The walls shimmered faintly with energy, as if the ship itself were alive, breathing quietly in the darkness. Every step Mara took echoed, a hollow sound that reminded her of how empty the ship truly was. Her fingers brushed over the control panels. They were alien, certainly, but she could see patterns, logic in their layout. The Zythurians had designed a machine of ultimate efficiency, and now, centuries later, it still waited for someone capable to unlock its secrets. Mara's mind raced with possibilities. If she could awaken even a fraction of the Titanus's systems, she could rewrite what humanity thought possible. She could be the first human to truly command a warship beyond imagining. Suddenly, a hum reverberated through the metal floor. Mara froze. She had not touched anything yet, only moved, but the ship responded. Lights flickered in long corridors, panels glowed faintly, and a soft, deep voice echoed in her mind. "Unknown operator, identify yourself." Mara's heart skipped a beat. She had expected alarms, perhaps turrets activating, maybe a warning system, but not a voice, and certainly not one that spoke directly to her mind. She took a steadying breath. "I'm Mara Keen," she replied. Her voice was calm but confident. "Human, engineer, I mean no harm." The voice, or whatever intelligence resided within the ship, paused. The hum grew stronger, almost thoughtful. "Human, you are not expected." Mara smiled, her curiosity growing. Humans had always been underestimated, yet time and again they had proven themselves clever, resourceful, and adaptive. Perhaps this ship was about to learn that lesson. She began exploring, moving through corridors that seemed alive, responding to her presence. Doors opened automatically as she approached. Holographic panels flickered to life, displaying maps, schematics, and star charts from centuries past. It was overwhelming, yet mesmerizing. For the first time, Mara realized that she wasn't just stepping aboard a machine. She was entering a world created by a civilization that had seen the rise and fall of stars, a world that had waited for someone like her. As she continued, she came across the main control room. It was enormous, with a central command chair surrounded by consoles she couldn't fully understand. The room hummed with latent power. Mara climbed into the command chair cautiously, her hands brushing over the controls. To her amazement, they responded. Not fully, but enough for her to test basic functions. The ship tilted slightly in space, like a living thing stretching after a long sleep. Then, without warning, the ship's AI or consciousness spoke again. You adapted differently than others, curious, resourceful. You may be compatible. Mara laughed softly, almost in disbelief. Compatible? I'm human, I'm small, I'm definitely not Zythurian. The voice hummed, almost amused. Humans unexpected, adaptable, efficient. Survival superior in ways the Zythurians did not anticipate. Mara's smile widened. Here it was, the first real acknowledgement that humans were different. The ship didn't just see her as a pilot. It saw her mind, her ingenuity, her potential. And slowly, cautiously, the Titaness began to awaken. She explored further, discovering armories filled with weapons that humans had only seen in stories. Shields capable of withstanding supernova explosions. Engines that could cross galaxies in weeks. And yet, despite all its power, the ship remained incomplete. It needed someone to guide it, to teach it, to make sense of what humans could do that aliens could not. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time felt strange aboard the Titaness. Mara was lost in a maze of discovery, translating alien language, tinkering with systems, improvising solutions. And with every adjustment, the ship responded, learning, adapting, awakening further. But not all was quiet outside. Mara's activation of the Titaness had sent ripples across the galaxy. Sensors on distant worlds picked up unusual energy readings. Rumors of the awakening spread quickly. Some aliens saw opportunity, others saw threat. And far, far away, a council of species long wary of humanity's cleverness began to take notice. Mara remained unaware of the approaching danger. Her focus was on the ship, on unlocking its potential. She was determined to understand it, to communicate with it, to form a bond that no alien could predict. And as the Titaness stirred, the hum of its engine seemed almost like a purr, a sign that something incredible was beginning, something that would change not only her life, but the perception of humans across the galaxy. She paused in the main control room, looking at the stars through the ship's massive viewport. The stars had always seemed distant, untouchable. Yet now, with the Titaness awakening beneath her hands, the galaxy felt reachable. Humans were small, perhaps fragile, yet capable of brilliance, courage, and creativity unmatched by any alien intelligence. And Mara was about to prove it. The hum grew louder, resonating through the ship, vibrating in harmony with her heartbeat. The Titaness, long thought dead and dormant, was alive once more, not as a tool, not as a weapon to be wielded by the greedy, but as a partner ready to recognize the ingenuity of a human mind. Mara grinned, her fingers flying over alien controls, sparks of excitement lighting her eyes. This was only the beginning. The galaxy's strongest warship had awakened, and it had chosen a human as its guide. Somewhere deep in the Arcturan sector, centuries of silence were broken. The Titaness, the ultimate warship, was awake, and humanity had become its key. The Titaness hummed, a deep, resonant sound that vibrated through every corridor of the ancient warship. It was no longer silent, no longer dormant. It had sensed Mara Keen's presence, her mind, and her unique human ingenuity. For the first time in centuries, the ship began to awaken, not merely as a tool but as a thinking, adapting intelligence. Mara stood in the command room, her fingers hovering over alien controls. Every panel displayed alien symbols she had never learned, yet patterns appeared in ways her mind could understand. She had always prided herself on her ability to adapt, but this was beyond any puzzle she had solved before. The ship seemed almost alive, responding subtly to her intentions. When she tilted a control lever, the engines vibrated lightly, like the ship was testing her. "Why do you respond to me?" Mara asked aloud, unsure if the voice within the ship could hear her beyond thought alone. "You are unexpected," the Titaness replied. Its voice was low, echoing in her mind like distant thunder. "The last operators, Zythurians, were precise, predictable. You are unpredictable." Mara laughed softly. "I guess that's the human advantage. Humans adaptable, efficient, resourceful. Intelligence forms unique patterns." It was the first time Mara realized the ship wasn't just a machine. It was learning from her, studying her, understanding her. And for a human, this was new. Humans were never the strongest species. They were smaller, slower, weaker. Yet time and again, they had survived where others failed. And now, centuries-old technology was learning that humans were more than simple flesh and bone. They were ingenuity embodied. Mara decided to explore. She walked down corridors lit by faint, pulsating energy. Every door opened as she approached. Holographic displays shimmered to life, showing star maps, battle simulations, and records from civilizations long extinct. The Titaness had not only survived its creators, it had preserved their knowledge. She entered the engine core room. The core was enormous, a glowing orb of energy contained within multiple layers of shielding. She could feel its power even from a distance. Tentatively, she touched one of the control panels. Immediately, the core responded, shifting slightly, lights flickering in acknowledgement. "You are interacting safely," the Titaness said. "Others would fail, others would be destroyed." Mara smiled. "I learn fast. Humans always adapt." The ship's systems began to respond to her more actively. Doors she had not yet unlocked began to open. Sections of the ship that had been sealed for centuries were now accessible. A weapons bay revealed itself, containing armaments that dwarfed anything humanity had ever seen. Shields capable of withstanding entire planetary bombardments glimmered faintly, and engines could propel the ship faster than any known craft. Yet, despite all this power, the ship was incomplete. Its intelligence was awakening, but it needed guidance. Mara could feel the subtle nudges in her mind as the Titaness tested her. Some panels required creative problem-solving. Some doors demanded sequences of actions the Zythurians had thought impossible. It was a challenge, and humans thrived on challenges. Hours turned into days, though time felt strange aboard the Titaness. Mara barely noticed. She was immersed in discovery, learning the ship's ways, improvising solutions, and communicating with the intelligence that had waited centuries for someone like her. She had unlocked the ship's basic systems, and now the Titaness began sharing more. "Human potential surpasses expectation," it said. "Your mind capable of comprehension unknown before." Mara felt a sense of pride. Not arrogance, but the quiet satisfaction of knowing that humans, despite their small size, could outthink and outadapt beings far older and stronger. She moved to the tactical room, a place that displayed the galaxy in three-dimensional holographic form. Star systems rotated slowly, ships blinked in distant orbits, and data streamed in languages she could barely read. "Show me your capabilities," she whispered. The Titaness responded by projecting simulations of ancient battles. Entire fleets of alien ships were destroyed in seconds, their strategies displayed and replayed in intricate detail. The ship tested her reactions, forcing her to make decisions in real time. Yet Mara's human intuition, creativity, and unpredictability allowed her to navigate these simulations flawlessly. The Titaness watched, adapted, and learned. "You innovate," it said. "Others obey protocol. You improvise, unpredictable, efficient." Mara chuckled. "That's humans for you. We don't always follow the rules." But the awakening of the Titanus did not go unnoticed. Far across the galaxy, sensors picked up the surge of energy emitted by the ancient ship. Alien empires that had long dismissed humanity suddenly perked up. The humans were clever, but to see one awaken the legendary Titanus was more than most could accept. Some sent scouts, others sent warnings, and somewhere in the shadowed halls of interstellar councils, leaders began whispering, "The humans are more dangerous than we thought." Mara remained unaware. She was too busy exploring the ship, understanding its systems, and forming a bond with the Titanus. She discovered hidden labs where Zythurians had experimented on alien technology. She found archives filled with star maps, navigational routes, and tactical manuals that predated even the oldest human records. And she realized something. She didn't just control the ship was learning to understand her. "You trust human judgment," the Titanus said. "Cannot compute, yet adapt," Mara smiled. "Trust has to be earned, and humans earn trust in unusual ways." She explored the armory next. Weapons unlike any in human history lay in perfect stasis. Plasma cannons capable of tearing through moons, shields that could withstand supernova blasts, drones that could operate independently across galaxies. And yet, she didn't touch the weapons. For now, she focused on learning the ship's core systems, its navigation, and its intelligence. She wanted to understand it fully before attempting anything reckless. The Titanus seemed to respond to her caution. It hummed approvingly, expanding its systems gradually, allowing her access in stages. It was almost as if it had waited centuries for someone with the right balance of curiosity, creativity, and respect. And humans had it. Days, or maybe weeks, passed. Mara and the Titanus became a team. The ship guided her hands when she struggled with alien interfaces. She improvised solutions when the AI encountered unexpected problems. Together, they unlocked a series of hidden compartments containing supplies, repair materials, and tools. The Titanus even began communicating through subtle visual projections, displaying schematics directly in Mara's mind, almost like a shared dream. "This connection rare," the Titanus said. "Zythurians never achieved such synergy with their machines." "Humans adapt, unlike any other species." Mara nodded. She felt a strange bond unlike any she had experienced. The ship wasn't just a machine, it was an ally, a partner, and perhaps even a friend. And in that partnership, she saw the potential of humanity. For centuries, humans had been underestimated. Small, fragile, seemingly weak, yet adaptable, clever, and resilient. Now, the Titanus would prove it. As she explored, Mara discovered an unusual control panel labeled in Zythurian glyphs. It appeared to be a test or challenge left by the ancient creators, a series of logic sequences designed to identify worthy operators. She studied the panel carefully, analyzing patterns, anticipating outcomes, and improvising solutions in ways even the Zythurians might not have expected. Minutes turned into hours. Then, with a satisfying click and a subtle pulse of energy, the system acknowledged her success. Lights flickered, the hum of the ship deepened, and a holographic projection appeared, a star map of unexplored systems, previously locked from all operators. The Titanus had revealed one of its greatest secrets to her. "You succeed," it said. Awakening initiated, compatibility confirmed. Mara's heart raced. She had passed the first true test of the Titanus, not by strength, but by mind, intuition, and creativity. The ship, the most powerful in the galaxy, was beginning to see the human mind as something it could trust, something it could rely on. And far beyond the Arcturan sector, other civilizations began to stir. The sudden activation of the Titanus was a signal no one could ignore. Mara's actions, guided by human ingenuity and determination, had sent ripples across the galaxy. Some would come seeking her, some would come to destroy her, and some would come to understand the human potential she now represented. But Mara did not fear them. For the first time, she realized the truth. Humans, though small and underestimated, could achieve what no other species could. And with the Titaness at her side, she could face any challenge. The ship hummed, alive and aware. The galaxy had awakened to the possibility of something new, something unexpected. Humanity. And Mara Keen, human engineer, stood at the heart of it. Mara Keen had spent days exploring the Titaness, unlocking its secrets and learning to communicate with the ship. She had discovered hidden systems, studied its star maps, and even activated weaponry in controlled simulations. Yet, the true test of her partnership with the Titaness had not yet begun. The ship's AI, or consciousness, had begun to prepare her for something greater. A message appeared on the central holographic display: trial required, ability to command confirmed but readiness untested. Mara frowned, her fingers brushing over the alien interface. She had expected challenges, of course, but nothing as formal as a trial. The Titaness seemed to recognize that humans, while creative, could also be reckless. This trial, it seemed, was designed to test her ingenuity, adaptability, and understanding of the ship. The holographic map displayed a dangerous sector, the asteroid field of Korath. It was a labyrinth of rocks, drifting at irregular speeds, shaped by centuries of gravitational forces. Zythurian ships had once been lost there, their remains scattered among the debris. The Titaness had survived this field in the past, but even it needed a pilot capable of thinking beyond algorithms. "This is it," Mara whispered to herself. "The real test." The ship responded with a low hum, as if acknowledging her words. Adaptation required. Strategy, human ingenuity essential. Mara activated the engines, and the Titaness moved, massive and powerful, yet responsive to her guidance. The asteroid field loomed ahead, a chaotic puzzle of tumbling rocks, spinning debris, and narrow passages. She had to guide the Titaness through without triggering any of its defense protocols or damaging the ship. One wrong move could mean disaster. At first, the Titaness took the lead. It calculated trajectories, displayed safe paths in holographic form, and highlighted obstacles. But it deliberately allowed Mara to make the first moves, testing her instincts. She quickly realized the AI did not intend to solve the trial for her. It was observing her thought process. Mara's human advantage became immediately clear. The AI calculated in straight lines, based on logic and probability. Mara, however, noticed patterns the Titaness could not predict: subtle variations in asteroid rotation, unexpected gravitational eddies, and debris that appeared in cycles. Using intuition and creativity, she guided the ship in ways the Titaness hadn't anticipated, slipping between rocks as though dancing with them. "You, unpredictable," the Titaness said. "Efficiency exceeds parameters uncalculated." Mara smiled. "I guess that's humans for you. We think differently." The ship's response was almost like a laugh, a deep vibration that resonated through its hull. It adjusted its systems in real time, synchronizing with Mara's improvisations. Together, they moved as one, a human mind guiding the galaxy's strongest warship through a field that had destroyed Zythurian vessels. But the trial was far from over. Halfway through the field, a massive cluster of asteroids blocked the safest path. Sensors indicated unstable gravitational fields. Even a minor miscalculation could send the Titaness crashing into a spinning rock the size of a small moon. Mara paused, assessing the situation. The Titaness suggested a calculated route around the cluster, safe but slow. Humans, she reminded herself, thrived on creative risk. She studied the motions of the rocks, timing their rotations, and noticed a narrow gap forming as two asteroids approached each other. If she acted quickly, the Titaness could slip through in seconds. Trusting her instincts, she maneuvered the ship at just the right moment, weaving between the asteroids with a precision even the Titaness had not predicted. The gap closed behind them and the ship emerged unscathed. You, deviation successful, the Titaness said. Human judgment, superior in unforeseen circumstances. Mara laughed softly. I think we make a good team. The trial escalated further. Smaller asteroid clusters began moving erratically, as if testing the ship's agility and her reactions. Mara had to anticipate sudden shifts, using both the ship systems and her own intuition. Each maneuver required split-second decisions. At times, she relied on pure creativity, diverting energy from shields to engines to slip past a cluster, or using the ship's magnetic fields to gently repel incoming debris. Through it all, the Titaness observed and adapted. Its massive hull responded instantly to her commands, engines fluctuating with her improvisations, weapons systems activating in harmless simulations to test targeting and precision. The bond between human and ship deepened. Mara realized something remarkable. The Titaness did not merely act, it learned. With every decision she made, the ship adapted, improving its reactions to human creativity. Hours passed. The asteroid field grew denser, more chaotic. And then the final challenge appeared. A massive, spinning asteroid, jagged and unpredictable, directly in the path of the trial's exit. It was larger than any planet Mara had seen from space, moving in an irregular orbit, spinning rapidly. The Titaness calculations indicated no safe path. Mara gritted her teeth. No path. There's always a path. She studied the asteroid's rotation, noticing a small, brief opening as its shadow rotated past a cluster of smaller rocks. Timing would be critical. One misstep and the Titaness could be crushed. Human probability negligible, risk extreme, the Titaness warned. Mara smiled confidently. Sometimes humans thrive on improbable solutions. She adjusted the ship's trajectory, diverting all energy to the engines. The Titaness groaned as energy flowed through systems, shields flaring briefly and weapons temporarily activating for stabilization. Mara guided the ship through the tiny gap, her hands moving instinctively over the alien controls. The asteroid spun past, missing them by mere meters. The sensors registered success. The trial had been completed. You succeeded, the Titaness said. Its voice resonated deeply, almost proud. Human ingenuity, compatible with ultimate systems, exceptional. Mara leaned back in the command chair, her heart racing, a triumphant grin on her face. I guess that makes us partners then. Yes, partner, synergy, unprecedented, the Titaness replied. Zythurians never achieved this bond. But even as they celebrated, Mara knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy had noticed the activation of the Titaness. Alien scouts, fleets, and intelligence ships would soon arrive to investigate the sudden awakening. Some would seek to destroy the warship. Others would attempt to control it. And Mara realized that human ingenuity alone would be tested in ways even the Titaness could not predict. The Titaness projected new data to her mind: star charts, alien fleet movements, and potential threats. Mara studied them carefully, her human brain piecing together strategies that the AI could not calculate. Humans were unpredictable, capable of creativity, improvisation, and thinking outside strict logic. That unpredictability combined with the Titaness' raw power made them an unstoppable combination. We are ready, Mara whispered. Whatever comes next, we can handle it. The Titaness responded with a low hum, almost like a heartbeat. Human potential recognized. Adaptive, superior. Threats anticipated with human innovation. Mara smiled, glancing at the viewport. Stars stretched endlessly across the void, and beyond them unknown civilizations stirred, sensing the sudden awakening. She knew challenges would come, but she also knew humans could face what no one else could. Small, underestimated, yet brilliant and creative. That was humanity's greatest strength. For the first time, Mara felt a sense of calm confidence. The trial had proven more than her skills. It had proven that humans, when underestimated, could surpass expectations in ways no alien intelligence could predict. And with the Titaness at her side, she felt capable of facing anything the galaxy could throw at her. The hum of the Titaness filled the corridors, alive and aware. Mara knew this was only the first true test. The real challenges would come when other civilizations discovered the awakening. But now she was ready. Human ingenuity, creativity, and courage had passed the trial. And the galaxy's strongest warship had chosen its human partner wisely. The stars outside shimmered, hinting at the adventures to come. The Titaness, long dormant, had awakened fully. And Mara Keen, human engineer, stood at its helm, ready to show the galaxy what humanity was truly capable of. Mara Keen stood in the command room of the Titaness, her hands lightly brushing the alien controls. The warship hummed like a living being beneath her, responding instantly to her slightest movements. They had passed the first trial, the asteroid field of Korath, but Mara knew the real challenges were only beginning. Across the galaxy, the sudden activation of the Titaness had not gone unnoticed. Sensors from nearby star systems had detected its energy signature. Alien fleets, long wary of humanity's unpredictability, had mobilized. They assumed the warship would be easy to capture or destroy, for they still underestimated humans. They did not understand ingenuity, creativity, or the human ability to improvise when facing impossible odds. Mara intended to prove them wrong. A holographic alert appeared before her, displaying the approaching fleets. They were vast, ships from multiple alien species converging, each equipped with advanced weaponry and tactics. Their numbers far exceeded anything Mara had ever faced, but she did not panic. Instead, she took a deep breath and allowed her mind to focus. The Titaness AI spoke, its voice deep and resonant, almost proud. Human probability of survival low, tactics unknown. Human ingenuity may compensate. Mara smiled. Then let's make them rethink underestimating humans. She initiated a series of maneuvers, testing the limits of the Titaness engines. The ship responded flawlessly, adjusting shields, diverting energy, and calculating trajectories in real time. But Mara didn't rely solely on its calculations. She improvised, combining human intuition with the AI's raw power. She anticipated enemy strategies, using the environment to her advantage, and even creating deceptive energy signatures to confuse approaching fleets. The first wave of attackers arrived, a fleet of sleek alien destroyers, their weapons glinting in the void. They opened fire, beams of energy streaking toward the Titaness. Mara activated the ship's shields, but she didn't stop there. She redirected power to engines, maneuvering the warship unpredictably, weaving through the barrage in ways the alien captains could not predict. Unpredictable, the Titaness said. Efficiency beyond calculation, Mara grinned. I told you we humans are tricky. She launched a series of countermeasures, drone swarms, magnetic pulses, and energy decoys that were entirely improvised. The alien captains had never faced tactics like this. Their formations broke apart, their coordination disrupted. The Titaness, following her lead, adapted instantaneously, striking only when the timing was perfect. The humans' ingenuity combined with the Titaness' power created a synergy that no alien calculation could overcome. But the first wave was only the beginning. A second fleet, larger and more heavily armed, approached from the opposite direction. Mara assessed the situation. Conventional tactics would fail. She needed to think differently. She activated the Titaness cloaking systems, something long dormant. The warship vanished from sensors, appearing only as a faint distortion in space. Using this advantage, Mara positioned the ship behind the enemy fleet, avoiding their fire while preparing her next move. Human strategy, unconventional, effective, the Titaness said. Probability increasing. Mara studied the enemy ships carefully. Their weapons were powerful, but they relied on predictability, patterns, formation, logic. Humans, however, thrived in chaos. She directed the Titanus to create a series of gravitational pulses using its engine core, manipulating nearby asteroids to crash into the enemy fleet. Rocks collided with ships, disabling engines, cracking hulls, and creating confusion. The alien captains panicked. They had never encountered an opponent that could anticipate their moves and manipulate the battlefield so creatively. Mara seized the opportunity. She sent a warning to the nearest ships, a human gesture, almost taunting. It was not cruel, but a reminder. Humans adapt, improvise, and survive. Mara's tactical brilliance continued. She redirected energy to the Titanus, weapons at just the right moment, striking with precision only a human mind could coordinate. Missiles, energy beams, and drone swarms combined into a symphony of destruction, but controlled, careful, and deliberate. No unnecessary harm, only defense and strategy. As the first wave of alien fleets broke apart, the remaining forces began to retreat. Mara and the Titanus pursued them cautiously, using intelligence rather than raw force. Every movement was calculated, yet unpredictable, a blend of human intuition and the ship's technological perfection. The galaxy had never seen humans fight this way. Finally, after hours of engagement, the battlefield was clear. The alien fleets had been repelled, not destroyed completely, but humbled. Mara lowered the ship's weapons, breathing heavily. She had not only survived, she had demonstrated the potential of humans in a galaxy that often dismissed them. The Titanus hummed, resonating with satisfaction. Human ingenuity proven. Probability exceeded expectations. Humans underestimated until now. Mara allowed herself a small smile, and that's exactly how it should be. But she knew the galaxy would not remain quiet for long. Other civilizations would hear of the Titanus, awakening and humanity's role in controlling it. Some would seek alliance. Others would seek domination. Mara understood that the true challenge was only beginning. She decided to take the Titanus on a journey through uncharted space. Exploration, discovery, and ingenuity would be humanity's true strengths. They would show that humans, though small, could achieve greatness through creativity, intelligence, and courage. The warship's engines hummed with renewed energy. Mara plotted a course through the Arcturan sector, avoiding known territories and dangerous star systems. She wanted to explore, to learn, and to continue pushing the boundaries of what humans could achieve. As the Titanus glided through space, Mara reflected on how far humans had come. From humble beginnings on a fragile planet, they had spread across the stars. They were inventive, adaptable, and resourceful. And now, with the galaxy's strongest warship at her side, humanity's potential was limitless. The ship's AI communicated again, its voice calm and almost reverent. Human, your species underestimated for centuries. Adaptability, creativity unmatched. Together, we redefine possibility. Mara placed her hands on the console, feeling the vibrations of the engines through her fingers. "We'll show them," she said softly, "not with brute force, but with intelligence, courage, and ingenuity. That's what humans do best." The Titanus responded with a soft hum, echoing across the vast chambers of the ship. It was more than a machine now. It was a partner, a mentor, and a testament to human potential. The bond between human and ship had proven that adaptability, creativity, and determination could overcome even the greatest of challenges. As they moved further into uncharted space, Mara saw distant stars and unexplored systems. She knew the adventures ahead would be dangerous, that other civilizations would challenge them, and that threats would come from every corner of the galaxy. But she also knew something fundamental: humans were different. Small, underestimated, but capable of extraordinary achievement when guided by curiosity, intelligence, and determination. And the Titanus, the galaxy's strongest warship, had chosen a human to awaken it. Together, they would explore the stars, challenge the impossible, and show the galaxy that humanity, though young and fragile, was a force unlike any other. For Mara Keen, the adventure had only just begun, and for humanity, a new chapter in the galaxy had opened. One where intelligence, creativity, and courage mattered more than brute strength or size. One where humans could rise, not through fear, but through the power of their minds. The Titanus glowed softly, alive and aware, its systems flowing with energy, responding to its human partner's every thought. They had faced the first true trial, and humanity had emerged victorious. But more importantly, the galaxy had begun to understand something it had long ignored. Humans were extraordinary. Mara looked out at the stars. The endless expanse of space stretched before her, and felt a surge of pride. The Titanus had awakened, and so had humanity's potential. Together, they would venture into the unknown, reshape the galaxy in subtle but profound ways, and prove that no one should ever underestimate the power of a human mind. The hum of the Titanus resonated like a heartbeat through the ship, steady and strong. Mara smiled, ready for whatever the galaxy would throw at her next. They had faced the impossible and triumphed. And this was only the beginning. The stars awaited. And humanity, small yet extraordinary, was ready to shine.